talk about two topics today. The first one's going to be patience, or maybe it's going to be the opposite way. So first one, patience. The other one's going to be the lack, or should we say, kind of being too patient or waiting for the perfect time all the time.
Yes.
I've seen both ways, like waiting too long for the perfect time, or not being patient enough. So maybe Mandy, you want to start with your experience of patience in trading.
Yes, so hello, Lucas from Australia. Where in Australia are you from,
Thailand,
Lucas?
awesome. Belgium, Thailand,
And, and
great.
nice, all over the world. So it's really interesting because we have this wide audience from all across the world, pretty much from every continent, right? And but the challenges that traders have are exactly the same, no matter which country they're from, no matter which social background they are from, no matter what kind of work experience they have. It's pretty much the same. Texas, hello, Obi. And what I found interesting is everybody talks about patience in a trade, which you know me by now well enough to say that patience and discipline for me is just not existent. It's just something that some guys sometime made up, but that's not the problem. Patience and discipline in a trade. It goes so much deeper than that. However, patience is a really important factor to consider when it comes to the trading journey. Everybody wants to succeed and be a world champion trader and $1 million trader immediately, right? So when traders start off losing money, they're distraught, they're upset, they're despondent, and they're learning more and more trading strategies, trading systems, but that's not the path that leads them to success. So it depends on the intention. If someone learns one new trading strategy after the other because they think the one that they learned before doesn't work, or because they think they have to find the Holy Grail, with that intention, no matter how much they study, they will never ever make it in trading because they will filter out what's important. They will just go for the quick buck, for the quick solution. If it is someone who studies one strategy after the other because they want to refine their skill, because they want to have a big toolbox, because they're curious about what's possible in the markets and what might suit them best, then they will find elements out of everything that they learn, and they will be able to create an amazing trading strategy that is suited to them and will eventually to success. Now, as you know, every trader that I work with, before we even start, they have to fill in a questionnaire with 40 questions so that I get a really good idea what is going on for the trader. And that cuts down the coaching hours, tremendously, because I don't need to sit down and ask the trader the questions and figure out what the challenges is. It's all in my questionnaire. And almost every single person that I come across, every single trader, they want to trade to make the big bucks, to buy their loved ones' houses, to have the nice cars, and so on. Which is, of course, we all want, right? I'm not discrediting that. However, in the pursuit of being able to make the big bucks, that's when they trip over. Because every time when they have a losing trade, they don't deal with it like a business person should. They deal with it as their dreams being taken away from them. They deal with it as, oh, I can't take this loss because if my dreams will be shattered if I take this loss now. And they keep proving to themselves over and over and over again that they're not good enough, that they don't have what it takes, that they will never achieve their dreams, like with all the other ventures in life that they pursued. So patience in a trade is totally overrated. That doesn't exist. There is so much more to trading. Often, most of the time, when someone emails me and they say, "Oh, I lack patience. Can you help me?" It's not the patience that they lack. It's skills in understanding the markets, understanding the strategy, and mostly understanding themselves. However, when it comes to patience in starting your trading journey, be prepared to put in a few years where you don't make a single dollar of profits. Only then, if you surrender to that and you don't think, oh, I'm better than that, or what does she know? Then only if you surrender and be humble, then you will succeed even faster. As you say, get rich slowly. Yeah.
Really interesting, and it's funny. I'm sure a lot of people here can add to that also. I think NTV Game has been doing a lot of work on that part. But I was speaking with one of my students maybe 2 days ago by email, and the one thing he said for the first time in 2 years, he's been trading a strategy for more than 2 months, like the same strategy without changing all the time. And I think that that's a big breakthrough. Like that's something that people have to do more often, trying to be patient with the result that come. Because of course, and like trading is that way where you might do something better, but it takes like 2 months or 3 months to see the result, right? Maybe Mandy, you can you said it before, right?
Yeah, and also not even only 2 or 3 months, I would even say longer, Etienne, because the markets change all the time. So in order for us to know if a strategy works or not, we need to have a certain sample size, at least 6 months, I would say. And so we want to see what our metrics tell us. What's the profit loss ratio? What's the consecutive winners in a row, consecutive losers in a row, biggest loser, biggest winner? And based on the strategy, as if we had followed the strategy 100%. Now, if you only followed a strategy 3 months, it's not enough sample data. And now, what I really can recommend everyone is learn how to code and then do your back testing through coding. A friend of mine is an amazing coder, and he taught himself, right? So I asked him, I said, can you just test a strategy for me? And within an hour, he can test 50 years. And he can tell me where the weaknesses are, and then I can fine tune it. However, I'm a big believer that there's also this element of discretion where the intuition that I have for the markets and the experiences that I have, it can't be coded. So another friend of mine who's an extremely successful guy in the institutional world, he's using both. So he has the system coded as well as using discretion to execute it. And I think that's a great combination to have nowadays in those markets. Certainly very useful. I mean, look at the DEX, right? I know I don't know how much it is in Forex, but I'm sure it's the same. But in the DEX, it's really clear that when the high frequency guys come in, the DEX starts sweeping like this under 1 minute. I can never ever keep up with that manually. So I need to know in advance when those high frequency guys come in, so I stay out because I know I can't keep up. And this is, also where that's just something, I don't know how to code that. That's experience when you feel the energy of the market. Yeah. So patience is also required because you need to build this set of discretionary intuition with your strategy, and it needs a certain amount of time. Yeah.
I definitely think there are things that you cannot code, like in trading, a lot of things that you cannot really code. But I think that, and I was speaking with a guy last week. One thing he said is he wished you could be able to code more because, like, you want to test things and stuff. And this is something I'm learning, like right now, a little bit. I know some of the guys in the chat, NTV Games is learning that too, also. But those are things that can make a big difference. And even if you know how to code yourself, you might be able to help other traders, which is really good, I think.
Yeah, and there's so many chat rooms out there for coders now as well.
Yeah.
So my friend he loves R, whatever R is. And as I said, he taught himself because it's all out there on the internet. Don't even need to spend a lot of money. So evening à la Roche. So yeah, so that's my thing about patience and understand that, a lot of traders, they think trading is their savior. So when I ask, why do you trade? Many of the answers are, so I can supplement my income, so I can have a better life, or because I want to get out of my crappy job. And this is where the urgency comes in. And this is when we have urgency, that's when we start making mistakes, when we don't want to follow, when the emotional part comes in. So the emotions in trading, they don't necessarily come from the trade itself. they come from when we're in a losing trade, and then the fear comes up about never achieving our highest potential. And that's where the emotions come in. That's what the emotions are related to.
That's right. And I see that all the time. Like you said, people who come into trading with like big expectation and like things that they want to achieve. And like you said, it's counterproductive sometimes. And I got to a point where I don't really care about what happens. I just care about doing what I have to do, and then result come, which is like a
Yeah,
different. Like you're not stressed when you think about that way. And I've been stressed like a long time of thinking about wins and losses and good months and bad months. But if you get involved into that too much, you're kind of getting involved in the day to day, which is not really what you're into. Like you're into the long game anyway.
yeah. And I also found it interesting on Twitter, like we always hear on Twitter, people post losing trades are just part of the game. Losing trades are just, normal.
Mhm.
And then you post a losing trade on Twitter, and then all hell breaks loose. Oh my God, it will be okay. You make it up in the next trade, and as if it were like a big drama, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
dude, it's just a losing trade. It doesn't mean anything. So
exactly.
how I trained myself to disconnect, right, is also I love chocolate. I don't make a secret out of it. I want to be really healthy, but chocolate is my vice. So then, and this is what we do in neurolinguistic programming as part of what we do in training. And Etienne, you have seen some of the hypnotic processes I do, right? So when I look at pasta, when I go through the pasta aisle and pasta and rice aisle in the supermarket, there is no emotional reaction for me. When I go through the chocolate aisle, there is like, right? I want this chocolate, right? I want the sweets. So what I trained myself to tap into the feeling of walking through the rice and pasta aisle when I walk through the chocolate aisle. And I trained myself. I did that on purpose. It's not something that you just do once and then it's there. It's like a skill that you have to learn. And so the same skill I applied in trading, where I train myself to be totally neutral, like pasta. And not talking about cooked pasta, about pasta in a bag. Where I have exactly no emotional reaction, the same as if I were to walk through the pasta aisle. And before, with trading, my profits and my losses were like walking through the chocolate aisle, like, ooh, chocolate, oh, I can't eat it. Oh, so, it's like, oh, profits, oh, losses. So the ups and downs, you want to be like pasta.
Good example. Good example. At the opposite, kind of the opposite side, though, I feel like a lot of people are. I don't want to say too patient because that's not the term, but they are like they make excuses as to why they cannot progress, and I've seen that multiple times. And I know some people maybe on this channel have been making excuses for why they cannot move forward or why they cannot do this and that. And I'm sure, man, this is something you've seen in the past, and you see people make excuses all the time. But are there maybe reasons or things people can do to kind of overcome the excuse they make over time as to why they cannot succeed?
Yeah, this is so interesting. And every time someone gives me an excuse, I actually take that really, really seriously, because this is the very thing that stops them, not only in trading, everywhere in their lives, that stops them from having fulfilling relationships, that stops them from having a fulfilled life, that stops them from taking on challenges instead of sitting on the couch watching The Biggest Loser, to actually go out and do sports themselves, right? So the same pattern will be everywhere in their lives. Now, what I also see is that traders rather lose $1,000 in the markets than paying $1,000 for training that could stop them to lose $1,000 in the market. Very interesting, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
And
yeah.
then, and then they come to us when it's too late, when they already are in a loss, or when they're like on the edge of desperation. And it's like, now you want me to, like, I'm not a magician, I'm not, it takes time to learn and to progress, right? So when we look at the excuses, what would stop someone to go ahead and do what needs to be done? Because we all know how important mentors are. And if you look at every sports person, they have mentors and coaches, right? So what stops the individual to go ahead and work with someone? And we have that as well, Jen, with our program, with our training, where they say, wow, amazing, I would love to be part of it, but I can't right now.
Mm-hmm.
So then they say, what, anyone who has been in any sales program knows what the objections are. Time, money, what's the other thing? Time, money, something else, can't remember. Doesn't really matter, right? But if you look at money, for me, how I always look at things is, I don't say I don't have the money. I say, how can I find the money and make the money in order to do what needs to be done, in order for me to succeed? And so I always have had this growth mindset and this progress mindset where, yes, right now I might not, but I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to find a way. And it's really interesting. The brain then goes and searches for ways. And opportunities come that were there before, but you didn't see them because your mind was closed. And now you have your radar, like a radio station. You tune into the radio station of how can I make this happen? If we look at time, it's the same thing. People say, I don't have time. And then when I work with them on time, it's like, wow, actually, there is so much time that I didn't realize. And the perfect example is, again, if you look at people like Tony Robbins or, anyone who's working in big companies, they have the same amount of time like we have.
Yeah.
What is it that they do differently? So if I have the feeling I don't have enough time, I need to look at how can I make more time? How can I find the time? And interestingly enough, the time is being found by organizing ourselves better. So the people who don't have time, they're usually the ones who are really messy. I am not a big fan of structure. I have this immense need for freedom because of the way I grew up. I grew up as a very free spirit, and then for me to take on structure was freaking hard. Structure felt for me like prison, until one day I realized that when I actually have structure, that gives me the freedom that I'm yearning for, and everything else was the thing that kept me stuck. So to give you an example, a very simple example, having my cupboard organized. And I'm using that because the trader I was working with last week was, he would spend like half an hour in the morning to find matching socks, So he's working as a business executive in a big firm, and he has to have matching socks. Like, he can't go there being dressed. He has to be dressed impeccable. So I said to him, when you do your washing, you put all your socks into one sock bag, because some smart person knew that this is a problem and they created a sock bag. And then you hang them in pairs. And there is one smart person who created this sock hanger when you dry on the dryer, right? So there is no excuse. And then you put them immediately into the cupboard or into your drawer, sort it out. So this way we found this guy a half an hour in the morning that he could spend on studying the markets. I mean, and we all have that. So anyone who says they don't have enough time, structure problem. They need to look at how to organize themselves better. And I guarantee you, any person that I sit down with, I can find them 2 hours a day at least.
Oh yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. And I feel bad sometimes because like people like Steve Jobs, they have the same 24 hours and they do twice or four times as much as we do
yeah,
sometimes. So
exactly.
like there's an excuse at that point. And
Mhm.
maybe the other thing to mention is that the calendar always look more blank in the future. And it always get the same, like always get feel the same way in the future. So if you expect that you're gonna have more time in the future, like it's a myth for now,
Yeah,
because it's
that
always
is
good feel
so
over time.
true.
Yeah.
So true. And this is what I do, like this is what I hated in the past as well. So I've got my planner. This is my monthly planner. Right, so I plan ahead, and I have a yearly planner on my wall. This was a few years ago, was not thinkable, because I was like, oh no, I want my freedom. I don't know what I'm doing next year. And then I realized that me organizing myself, I can do so much more. And it doesn't mean that I'm stuck with it. So if I have an event planned for July next year, doesn't mean that I need to do it, because I'm a free person. Thank God, you and I, we live in free countries. And I can cancel if I want to. In other countries, you can't. Hmm.
Good point. Did you have any other like another issue on excuse to cover, or otherwise we have some really good question in chat that I want to cover.
Yeah, so really, the main reason, look at the main reason why you don't want to go ahead. And you know, you and I, we're trying to make this training so affordable for everyone. If you don't have 200 US dollars a month to cover or whatever we charge, um, then you shouldn't be trading anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because trading is a money game. So that's one thing to consider. And another thing to consider is, if you know, what is it, to really look at what is it that stops you. Not necessarily to join our training, right? That's not the point. Just to look at the one thing that stops you to join our training will stop you to succeeding in other areas of your life as well. That's the really important part.
Yeah, and I think the point here is not like you have to join a training, you have to buy or program and everything. That's not the point. But the point is, do you really want to like lose $1,000 in the market, or investing on something that could bring you money over time? And I don't think there's any way you can make money if you didn't make money in the past and you don't change anything. If you stay the same way you were before, that's like a really bad stage to be in. And all the times where I kind of move forward in trading, I either met new people, I invested some money, or I really work trying to analyze myself and everything I was doing. Like those are the three ways that I went forward. So yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Cool. Should we
And
go
we have
into
a couple.
questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should we go into questions or?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I want to go
Mhm.
to. So we have first of all one comment I want to highlight from NTV Game. I think he says, "I feel like I get more ideas when I'm not working at Forex than when I am," and I think that's totally true. Some of the best training strategies ideas I've had were by like taking a walk or being outside, not by like trading and being in the market. So totally right. And I think you need that for like creativity and get ideas. You cannot be like working all day because that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you look at athletes, right? Let's say tennis players, because you have the Australian Open coming up. They only play tennis a few hours a day. And it's not that they don't do anything the rest of the day. They do strength training, they do reaction training, right? They do, they're taking care of their nutrition. So being an athlete is like we are in trading, we are athletes, right? So it's the same thing where we have to not only work on our craft in trading, we also need to look at everything else in life, our health, our, so at the beginning of the week, I hurt my back, and because I didn't take care of my body, I was, you know, running a few trainings, and it was just too much. So when I didn't take care of my health, I hurt my back. That impacted my trading, right? I can't um, perform at my best when I have painkillers or when something hurts. So that's why it's so important that you need to take care of every area of your life. You can't perform at your best when you have fights with people, you know, with your loved ones, or you can't perform at your best when you're unhappy in your job. So all these areas need to be worked on as well, and this is why NTV Games, it's really good that you look at other areas as well. So I was working with a guy on a Sunday, an American guy, and I could feel he was like fidgety, and it's like, what's going on for you, you know? And he said, no, I want to be here, I want to be here. And I said, yes, you do. I can see that you're working so hard, but there's something else. And he said, all my friends are watching, I don't know, on Sundays is I think some NBL game or something in America. And I said to him, dude, you know, you need to tell me those things because I'm not in America, I don't know. And we rescheduled our session because I wanted him to have happiness. He had the feeling of missing out because his friends were out drinking, a young guy, right? 25. Um, so his friends were like drinking and watching the game, and I could hear them cheering, and he was in his room with me. It's like, that's not where he wants to be,
Hmm.
as much as he wanted to succeed in trading. So we rescheduled. How easy was that? That's part of the happiness factor that helps him to succeed.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same point, you need to be able to make compromise. I think you cannot like necessarily go out all the time if you're supposed to work on trading.
No. Yeah.
So yeah.
But the thing is, there was another option. Like for me, it didn't matter if we work on a Sunday or if we do the session on
Mhm.
any other day. Yeah. So, and a very good point. Like he doesn't drink much because he needs to perform in the market. And he knows that, it would not be accepted in his role. He's a professional trader. So, but yeah.
Mhm. And another good question similar to that is Master Matello, who asks, how do you pass the time when waiting for your trade setup? Like for me, the answer is simple. You do something else. So if you're gonna like spend all day looking at your chart, there's no point. I know like some people they play guitar. Some people play they trade they play guitar at the same time. Some people like they go outside and do something else when they swing trade. So it depends. You find what you like to do on the side, and you do that. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah. So that goes back again to our initial conversation. When you know your strategy, so having run your strategy long enough, I know when there's the highest probability. So I know
Mhm.
that I don't need to look for Euro setup when it's Asian time. Maybe sometimes there are Euro setups, but most of the time they are not. So I'm not wasting time on that. But I look at for Aussie dollar setups. I know that the DEX works. The first 2 hours is even sometimes only the first hour. The DEX moves, and then there's nothing unless there's announcements, unless and then when America comes on again. So it's like when you go surfing, you don't sit by the beach when there's no wind. When there's wind, then you surf and you look at the weather channel as well. So this is one thing. You need to know your strategy well enough to know when it performs. Usually, you also need to know when you perform your best. So I know when are my best performing days, even when there's my best performing hour. So on those days, I'm more engaged than on other days. And then what I do, Etienne, I have 4 monitors, including my laptop. I have charts on one monitor. I write a training program or look at coaching session or so on my other monitor. And then I listen to your interviews. It's like all the time, yeah, because that keeps me in the mood, it keeps me upbeat, that keeps me um, informed. I learn so much, still learning so much every day. Yeah, so that's what I do. And then, again, wheel of life. I have to make sure that I put 2 hours of sports or exercise into my day. Have to make sure that I have at least 1 hour of hanging out with my friends, or so meeting them for a coffee or for dinner or for something. That's my social interaction. I have to make sure that I talk to my mom, right? I have to make sure, because she's in Germany, I'm here, so we can only talk to her at a certain time on Skype. I have to make sure that every day I study something that improves my personal development, so where I work on myself, and also my business development, where I work on how to learn something new in the markets. So, and this is what I use the Wheel of Life again, where I use that to every day implement something into my trading. And that pretty much helps me to not sit there idle, twiddling my thumbs. And every time I see someone on Twitter saying, I have to sit on my hands, it's like, use something useful with your hands. Go do the dishes. Don't sit on your hands. No wonder you're jumping into a trade because you're bored. Yeah? Do something, help go to an elderly home and sing something to some elderlies. Like, do something. There's lots to do in this world.
Mhm. And someone told me something pretty wise a few years ago. He said something like, if you spend time doing things that are related to your values, you'll be happy pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Because like you want to spend time with your values, and probably like, so one of my values is like having an impact. So I spend time having an impact. So doing videos, doing interviews, your value might be different. And I know one of my value also is like relationship. So I'm going to spend time for sure building relationship. And but if it's not your value, then like don't spend time doing that for sure, because it's not going to be rewarding over time. and you can
And
spend a
that
whole day like in doing volunteering, but if it's not in your values and things you like to do, it's going to be worthless.
and that's a really good point you're mentioning here, Etienne, because I bet you like 95% of the population don't even know what their values are.
Hmm.
And that's why they're drifting through life. And that comes where it comes into knowing yourself so well, what your beliefs, what are your values, what's important to you in life, and spend time on that. Great point. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, wonderful. And yeah, one thing you mentioned is the fact that you have two monitors. You look at your trades on one, doing something else on the other one. I've had a lot of failures with that, where I would like look at the chart to day trade and then look at something else and then like be really involved in that thing and then forget the chart. So what missing trades. But so I'm not good at that. But if you're good, or if you can find a way to like put an alert, like NTV Game says,
Yeah.
best of the world. Like you're gonna know when to look back. So I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, Rylan,
Yeah.
that's a really good point as well. Send email alerts. We have SMS alerts here with our broker,
Mhm.
so I can do that. Um, I can multitask.
The
And
platform.
yeah, exactly. I can multitask, so for me it's an easy thing, and that comes back to knowing yourself so well. Like you can do things I can never do, and I can do things that you're not good at. So whatever we say here, you need to play on. You need to try on for yourself and try if it fits you. So it's not like one size fits all.
Mhm.
Good point.
Mhm. Exactly. I see we have Naga here. Naga, welcome. Naga didn't know there was a
Another?
session tonight. Yeah, this is uh, kind of improvised live video we do on Sundays sometimes. Yeah, so we're glad you can make
Yeah.
it for sure. We actually had the Montreal Traders meetup last Wednesday, and that was pretty cool. And in relation to what we just talked about, one of the first things we tell people, like at the very beginning, is that like, yeah, you're gonna learn something tonight for sure. You're gonna have some ideas, but you need to research everything yourself afterward because like you don't know how things are gonna work. And funny enough, we talked about cryptocurrencies last time, and most people they just want to jump in and like act and trade that because they hear someone talk about it. But if you don't have your own research on the side after, it's not really gonna work.
Yeah.
So yeah, really important.
Cryptos, man, so interesting. And one of my prop traders who is already super successful, like this guy makes a lot of money. He also got into crypto, and he makes even more money with crypto, right? He's laughing his way, all
Mhm.
you know. However, he knows how to trade. He's a trader. He will make it in trading. He will also know when to pull out. All the new people streaming in who have never been exposed to financial markets, to wealth creation, they're the ones who are going to get hurt.
Mhm.
And this is the thing that really concerns me. And I get those multi-level marketing things now about cryptocurrency. It's like, whoa, scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget this is something I heard also. The difference between the losing traders and the winning traders is how long they stay in their trades. That's the only thing that matters, and the only thing that change.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I know we have Naga. He says, "Oh no, no crypto. Everything else, like including penny stocks." Yeah, well, sure, but yeah, it depends. Some people like it, some people don't. Up to you to find what you prefer and what you're comfortable doing. I think, and
Exactly.
we always say that, but it's true. So
Hmm.
cool. So guys, if you have any other questions, just comment below. We'll take maybe one or two more. I do have to go after, and we'll finish. We'll wrap it up then afterward. But if you have any questions, just comment below. I think I've seen something else, which let's see. Yeah, so I had a comment. Well, I've seen a comment from A who says trading is the job highest paid in the world. So I feel like other people see trading as like the highest paying job in the world or the highest possible paying job in the world, and expect that they can still like get paid a lot with a small amount, which is not true, but it's something I see all the time. So you just
Yeah.
have to be careful
Well,
with kind of what you expect. And yes, you can make a lot of money. You might hear and see people in like Lamborghinis and Ferraris. really kind of the majority, or is it really possible? I don't know. Or is it really a lifestyle you want to have? I don't know. Probably not.
And
But
also, what's the context of making that much money? Like, I know traders in the institutional realm who have that level of success. Don't know that many in the retail world. So, no. Sorry, I have to disagree. It's not the highest paid job in the world. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
overall probably not. But yeah.
Hmm.
What do you think about this, Etienne? Let's see. I think a lot of people feel that a lot of programming courses are such scam and therefore refuse to invest in it and therefore not invest in themselves. For sure, for sure. And I kind of resisted a long time to invest in myself in trading until I saw how much investing in myself in other areas can make a difference. Like, and I'll share this example with you guys. So 3 years ago, or yeah, oh, that's 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I I was really bad at public speaking. I was like terrible, and I couldn't speak in front of like anyone. And then I went one day to this Toastmaster, so a Toastmaster group in Montreal, and I saw like so much how this could help Toastmasters. And I never bought a trading course before. Toastmasters is not trading related; it's like public speaking related. But when I saw how much Toastmaster helped me, I said, well, so I have to do this in like other areas. I have to do this in my trading and like anything I want to improve. Because the only way for me to improve is probably to be getting outside help and other people to help out and other people to give me advice. So you have to see this for yourself first, because otherwise, before that, you cannot believe it. You cannot believe that having a coach is really going to help unless you have a coach and unless you see the proof. And I think people can tell you like, yes, a coach helps, but you're not going to believe it yourself until you see it.
Yeah, it's also some think that we have to do the work for them. And they think it's Etienne and Monday TV, but life doesn't work this way. I always say I can only be the coach. I can only give you feedback on the things that you can't see yourself from the back of your eyeballs with. But you are still the one on the court, and I can't be on the court with you. I can't, if you're a tennis player, they have their coach in the box, right? And the coach can only give feedback. That you're not even allowed to give feedback whilst you're on the court. But the tennis player still has to be on the court themselves. The swimmer still has to do the swimming. The runner still has to do the running. And the trader still has to do the trading. And we can only give feedback to what areas they need to improve on. And this is what many confuse. They think like you are the savior, but we are not. We just share experiences that because we have been working with such a broad range of people, we can see immediately what is missing for the one person. And I have coaches myself. I can't see myself from the back of my eyeballs. Where I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like I keep doing this thing. And
Yeah,
then they work
yeah,
with me. And I can tell you a good coach doesn't tell you what to do. They ask you a lot of questions and help you to find, to ascertain what needs to be done based on your own circumstances. And they teach you how to think. Like, this is my biggest thing. I don't want to tell people what to do, because then they have this one thing to do and that's all there is.
hmm hmm
This is what we call deductive thinking. I want to teach people how to think, which is called inductive thinking. So when they have, one example. So you say, oh, my cat always annoys me, makes me angry. And then I work with you on your cat, so your cat doesn't make you angry anymore. And fine, problem solved. But then you come back and say, no, my dog makes me angry. What's going on? I solved my problem with my cat, but now my dog makes me exactly the same feeling angry. That shows that I've only worked with you on feeding you knowledge, but I haven't showed you how to think about the problem, so that when the problem keeps coming up, you can work your way out of it yourself, so that you're independent, so that you learn how to think rather than being fed, like a bottomless box, stuff that is not moving you forward. It's just, solving a thing in the time.
Hmm. I
So
want to answer
yeah.
two last questions we have, and this is going to be Rylan, or maybe yeah, we'll do Rylan at the end. But the first one from David: how do you choose a good Forex course when you don't really know how well the tutor trades? There is always suspicion. Yeah, of course. Uh, yeah. Okay, so basically, there's a like many said, there's a big difference to make between a course and a coach. Like a course is going to teach you how to do things, but then you have to apply. And I feel like a lot of people who say courses are like scams or BS, they didn't even apply the things in the course. They just like try some. They just pick the course. They say, "Well, I'm not profitable. I'm not making money," and they say, "Well, it's a scam." But did you really apply? Did you try everything? Did you really take time to backtest? And I think a lot of people don't do that. So I didn't do that myself for the course I took. But that's why now I make sure that everything I teach people is backtested, and that like I don't think you should judge a course or a coach by its result, because like some of the best sport coach, they don't do sport. So you should, I think, create a course or a coach by its ability to give result. I think that's always the thing. And like, what do you want yourself? Do you want to like learn from someone who's making money, or do you want to learn from something who's giving you result? I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's also we can have the best trader in the world teaching you how to trade. It doesn't mean that you learn how to trade. Yeah, so the benchmark, number one, you need to get a benchmark. And again, we are so big in metrics. So you want to have someone who gives you benchmarks, who says, this is where you start, where is it where you want to end? So if I start with a trader who's generating $1,000 losses a month, and he wants to end up making $10,000 profits a month, I'm like, yeah, down the track maybe, but maybe our first milestone should be break even, huh? So you want to have someone who's really like realistic and doesn't give
Mm-hmm.
you promises of Ferraris and pretty women and travels around the world first class. That's not realistic. And so that's your first indication. Anyone who comes up with these beautiful life events, I would not want to learn from. So that's one thing. The
Yeah.
second thing is, you know, if you have a good course, if you progress. Now, I remember my first trading courses. It turned out that the guy that I learned from, he had actually copied the course from someone else and then taught it to us. Now, that was in 2002. That was before social media, before internet, like I didn't know. But I learned a lot from him. So I wouldn't say it was wasted money. It was just a marketer. He was a really good marketer. So for me, the money was well spent because I saw progression within myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned enough to get to the next level. So if you want to know if you have a good course or not, you need to know that you are progressing within yourself. It doesn't matter what anyone else does out there, because the crappiest trader in the world could teach you the best things, because this trader has made so many stupid mistakes that they know all the pitfalls, and they can help you to protect yourself from those pitfalls, because he was such a crappy trader. He knows what it feels like, or she, they. Let's be gender neutral. Um, that is something. So your benchmark should be yourself and not the other person. You know you have a good coach when you have someone who doesn't just give you the answers, as I said before, when you have someone who encourages your thinking, who inspires you to become bigger and better, who challenges you to grow, who encourages you and doesn't put you down, who doesn't say you're an idiot because you say that to yourself a million times already, but who encourages you and sees the champion in you and sees the probability and possibilities that you have within you that you can bring out. So these are just some of the examples on how you can benchmark that someone is a good coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now,
I'm probably gonna do another video on that topic because I have some thoughts on this
yeah,
also. But I will share with you one thing, and this is like I've been so mad at that topic for a long time, and I didn't share on the blog or on the vlog yet. But I was doing a call with a guy maybe 3 weeks ago, and the guy was willing to kind of sign up for coaching with me, having me coach him for some time. And the thing is, so I told him to like set some process goals of things that he can master over time and like things to work on, so that ultimately he could get to a return that's acceptable, like going from losing money to at least making some money. And this is like this outcome goal, so we don't focus too much on outcomes. But the guy decided to not to sign up because someone else on the side was promising him like 10 or I think 20% per week with the course. So like he cannot do anything. You say, well, okay, like go with the guy, but try to see the result and come back if you don't have the result. We'll just see. And but yeah, it's something you see all the time.
Yeah. And
So
David
that's true.
also has a really good point here. He says if they can trade well, why do they need to make money by coaching? So there
Mm-hmm.
is several aspects to this one. Number one, if you look at behavioral profiling, right, personality profiling, there's the types of people who they just want to be alone. They don't want to talk to anyone. They're very secluded. And they most probably wouldn't coach, right? And then there's people like you and I. We love people. We are very social people, and I have learned so much on my own journey to become successful, or on my own journey to overcome my own pitfalls and behavioral challenges. That if I don't share that, it's kind of wasted, right? So I think coaching is my purpose in life, and I love trading, and so that's one reason, coming back to values, that someone who only trades and doesn't coach is because they have a different value system. It's not important to them to contribute to other people, whereas in our values it's really high contribution. um, Number two, I believe, as long, for me, trading is not only about making money, right? Making money is crap, right? I don't like playing the money game with people. For me, when I coach, it's about helping people to become the best they can be, and to improve on all areas of their lives. And I can tell you one thing: as long as there's still one child being abused, one animal being mistreated, as long as there's wars and all this shit going on out there that's going on like right now, there is not enough coaches in this world. There is still work to be done. And so for me, my work, and I know for you it's the same, Etienne, our work is so much bigger than us. We just happen to use the trading industry as our vehicle because we love trading.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, if you want to stay on the small level, like I made all my money trading, and so I don't give a shit about anyone else, go for it. Rock on. It's not what I want to be about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny because if you tell me like it's starting today, you have to trade alone and like not teach anyone, not help anyone, I would say, well, no, forget it. I'm gonna do something else on trading because I don't want to trade all day. It's impossible. Because and this is something like I've heard recently in a podcast I did because I really listened to my podcast. But the guy said like, don't buy yourself a trading job. That's not what you want. If you're gonna leave your job to trade and have a trading job, why would you leave your job?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
point. And we need to ask to answer our last question from Rylan. It's better to master one strategy and stick to it, or learn a few different market conditions. Well, first of all, you go like step by step, so incrementally. You master one and then go to the next one. You can master one and trade only one strategy if like you want to trade, let's say 30% of the time or 50% of the time. I realized myself that mastering one thing is good, but I'm not trading in all conditions, which means if there's a long time where the market's like trending, I might not trade that much. And that's going to be problematic sometimes. So you definitely want to go like master every single thing you do, but over time you have to maybe implement more if you want to trade more and trade in all conditions. Mandy, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the question needs to be, I don't think you're asking the right question. I think the question needs to be, who are you as a human being? What are your natural behavioral preferences? What is your personality like?
Good point.
And then you choose a few strategies. So if you're a big picture person, don't study candlesticks. You'll be hurting and dying and being bored. You need
Mm-hmm.
to study harmonics, you need to study Elliott wave, you need to study again, like the big picture strategies, right? If you're a detailed person, Don't start with studying harmonics. It's going to put your head in. Start with candlesticks. If you're a visual person, don't start trading options. Options is all about numbers. Harmonics is all about numbers, percentages. 68% of 32% of 51%. Wow. If you're a numbers person, don't go into visual trading of geometry of the markets. So know who you are first and then choose your strategies to study. That's what I think.
That's a great one. And I think that's even more in depth than I answered. So love it. Love it. And on that topic, I think we have the coaching session because we just talked about that last week in the program we do, the psychology program we do with Mandy. And this Tuesday is going to be the coaching sessions. Looking really forward to it. So you guys watching this live here and into the program, just join us this Tuesday and we'll look at the results for sure. Thanks guys for watching. We appreciate it and we'll catch you pretty soon.
Bye, everyone.